What's up? This is John from John Branch for Photography, and recently I've been noticing on a lot of Facebook groups, everyone's switching over to Fujifilm. Not everyone, but a pretty good amount. So I'm hyped to see so many people switching over to Team Fuji. So I wanted to share how I set up my XT3 for a wedding day. So let's go ahead and go through all the menus, talk about why I choose what I choose, and how to quickly get you acclimated to your XT3 if you're switching from a different camera system. Let's go ahead and get into it. So to jump into your menus, let's go ahead and hit the menu OK button. And what we're gonna do here is just go over most of my settings. Try and keep this short, but it's very important stuff, especially if you're just switching to Fuji and you have no idea what you're looking at. So starting out with the most important section, which is the image quality settings. Obviously, as a wedding photographer, I'm shooting in RAW, so I can change my image quality there. I do personally like compressed RAW. It saves me a lot of space and I lose no quality at all. Usually I'm shooting with about 128 gig cards, and I'm getting a little bit under 5,000 photos on each card. So RAW compressed is awesome. If you're on 64 gig cards, RAW compressed will give you a normal like 2,000-ish, maybe a little bit more than that, 2,500, somewhere in there. But if you're not shooting compressed, it's gonna be maybe 900 photos, if even. The files are huge. So I recommend shooting compressed, and you're not gonna lose anything there. Now these next couple of settings aren't really gonna matter as much, because shooting RAW, when you put them into Lightroom, it's gonna show you the RAW photo. Where this stuff comes in handy is when you wanna actually view your photos on the day of on the back of the camera or in the viewfinder. It's a great way to make your photos look great, so that when you give someone a quick back of camera preview, they're like, wow, that's awesome, and everything looks basically edited. Also, if you're shooting in JPEG, these next couple of settings are important because it's gonna shape how your files are gonna look. So first off, with film simulation, I personally like classic Chrome, but there are a whole bunch of different options that you can use. Keep in mind too, this doesn't matter for your RAWs because you can change this within Lightroom itself. You can see here in Lightroom, there's an option where you can go in, find all your camera presets from your Fuji and just apply them there. Next up, we have grain effect. I usually like to put this on off. If I'm shooting at home doing some JPEG stuff, I'll put it on strong because I like that filmy look. But other than that, I usually keep that off. Classic chrome effect is off. White balance, obviously you can change that at any time. Dynamic range, I'll usually keep on 100. Then we have our highlight tone, shadow tone, and color. So I like to do highlight tone -1, shadow tone -2. I'll do my sharpness +2, and I usually don't add any noise reduction. After that, we just have color space and things like that, which normally you won't want to change. Next up is our autofocus section. So the focus area is just kind of showing you where you can focus. That also can change with this little knob here if you press it. The autofocus mode will change through your modes, which is also something you can set your buttons to change as well. So most of this stuff I don't mess with. Autofocus custom settings. This is how your autofocus continuous is gonna work. You have a bunch of different options here. Personally, I like option 3 for weddings. But I would say go ahead and give each of them a try to see which one works best for you. You can store your autofocus settings based on the orientation of the camera. I usually don't do that. In a wedding, you're switching around very often, so I just like to do that on the fly. You can change how many autofocus points you have. Obviously, we want to turn that all the way up to 425. When you get this out of the box, it'll be on the 117, so go ahead and switch that. Pre-autofocus off. Your autofocus illuminator, which is the little light on the front, turn that on. And then we have our face and eye detection stuff. So yet again, this is all stuff that you can change with your buttons. And I'm gonna go over that stuff when we do our button configuration. But for now, I just like to leave that stuff off because changing it here in the menus really doesn't matter as much. Now for my manual focus, I love peak. Peak is so good. And what I do for peak is I set it to high and red. And that way, when I'm manually focusing, everything basically turns red for what's gonna be in focus. It makes it extremely obvious what I have in focus, and I absolutely love it. There's a bunch of different colors you can pick from as well, so if any other color works better for you, go ahead and throw that in there, but red stands out most to me against whatever you're going to be shooting. The rest of this autofocus stuff I usually don't even mess with. I leave that the way it is. It's all good to go. Oh, the touchscreen, turn this thing off. Turn it off. It's great and all that the XT3 has a touchscreen, but I honestly, I've touched it many a time during a wedding and it ends up messing me up. So I usually just turn that stuff off. Next up, we have our drive settings stuff. So this is how your shutter is going to work. This is also stuff that you can change with buttons as well. There's so many buttons on the Fuji and I love it. You can change your menus extremely quickly. So this is how you set up your bracketing, which I usually don't do during a wedding. You have your CH high, which is your high speed shooting, which is going to be up here. You see the CH. CL is your low speed. So 5.7 is as fast as that can go, which is honestly pretty fast in itself, but you have different options in there. 11 is the highest for the high speed. Well, 11 is the highest for the high speed on the mechanical shutter. You can go faster with the electronic as well. And then you have your advanced filter settings. This stuff is whatever. I don't ever use it, but the miniature is pretty cool. It's kind of like tilt shift, but it does only do JPEG and it puts wonky effects on your photo, so you probably won't want to do that. We have our sports finder mode, which I have not really played with yet. It might be cool for weddings, but I just haven't gotten in there. You have your self timer, all this stuff we can change later. I usually don't use it. The shutter type, I'm always doing mechanical, but if I wanted to do electronic, I have a button set up so I can switch that whenever I want to. Turn your flicker reduction on, you're gonna want that. And then in the ISO settings, you can set how your auto ISO works. You can set how high and how low the ISO will go, and you can also set the minimum shutter speed. I don't like to do auto ISO, but if it is something that you do, definitely set this up so that you can get your range where you want it to be. When shooting a wedding, you definitely don't want the auto ISO just going as high as it wants to. You want to tell it, hey, don't ever go past this amount because I know it will look bad. Also in this menu, we have our wireless settings, just so you know, so that's under the little camera menu or the shooting settings. This is how you connect your camera to your phone so that you can transfer photos over and things like that. Flash settings we're going to skip. Everything in there is fine the way it is. I don't use any Fuji authorized flashes. I'm still using the Canon ones and those work fine. So the way it's set is the way it is. Video settings we're also going to skip because I just use this for YouTube. I definitely don't know a whole bunch about video. So I'm going to skip that stuff. I don't use it for weddings. But if y'all want to see more about my video settings for YouTube, let me know in the comments and I'll do another video on that. So now we get into the meat and gravy of it all, which is the user settings and all this stuff. This is where the fun stuff is. So user settings where you can format your cards, get your date and time. You can set up your menu settings. This is where you can get rid of stuff in the menu if you want to or add it. I wouldn't mess with that. Just leave it how it is so that if someone's showing you something, you're not like, oh, this doesn't look like mine at all. I have no idea what this is. You have your sound set up for when you're recording. We don't really need that as much as photographers. Now your screen setup is somewhere you want to get very familiar with. You're going to be using this on a wedding day when you switch over to your reception and everything gets dark. So let's see what we have in here. So you have your viewfinder brightness, the viewfinder color. So I like +1, -1 on the color. I don't adjust the colors at all. Then you have the same thing for your LCD, and you'll see I like -1 on both. I don't want that too bright. It saves for the battery as well. You can set if an image displays after you have taken a photo, which I do like to see that. This will show also in your viewfinder, so if you're using the viewfinder, you'll be able to see the photo for 1 second after you've taken it. Auto rotate displays is on, that's good. So this one is very important. This is your exposure and white balance. This is what will show you what your exposure and white balance looks like on the screen and in the viewfinder. Right now I have it turned on, but when I get to the reception, I turn this off. And when you turn it off, then you can just see in the screen and it will lighten up everything. So it's not going to show you exactly what your exposure looks like. But obviously at the end of the day, when it's reception time and it's mad dark, you can't see your exposure anyway through the viewfinder. So go ahead and turn that off. But for the rest of the wedding day, that'll stay on to preview exposure and white balance. That way I can just look through the viewfinder, see exactly what I'm getting for my white balance, see exactly what I'm getting for my exposure. I tried to play around with natural live view and it was wonky. It made the screen look weird, so I turned it off. I love having my framing guide on. And then I changed my focus scale to feet because I'm in America, hooray. And then the display custom settings is the main and important part here. So this is what's gonna show you what's on screen. So you see I have my framing guide on, I have my electronic level, focus frame, got my histogram. So go through here and see the things that you like to have. Shooting mode, so I know like what I'm shooting with, electronic or mechanical shutter, aperture speed, just all the information I want on screen. This is where you set it, so this is very important. These are all the settings I think work best for me. It's a lot on my screen, but I can see everything and I know what's happening very easily. The rest of this stuff I don't touch. I leave it how it is. Button dial setup is the next most important thing for your camera. Let's go ahead and jump in there. So most of this stuff I leave where it is. I don't like to touch it too much, but some of the best things to change are going to be your function button setting. And this is where you go in and change all of your buttons. So this is super important. Most of them I leave how they are, because surprisingly enough, even though I have Fuji, I don't use the dials at all. I don't like using them on a wedding day. When it's reception time, you can't see them, and they're too much to move around. So I actually only use the little dials and knobs and stuff, not the stuff on the top. So right now I have my function button on the top here set to change my shutter. So if I want to go to the electronic shutter real quick, I can just hit that and change it. Then after that, I have my drive. So that's going to be how fast my shutter speed is. So that's going to be the button on the front, kind of up here by where my finger kind of is pressing. I have my autofocus mode on up, film simulation on left, white balance on right, and then I have face detection on the bottom. So using face detection is really awesome for when you have the processional coming back after the couple has kissed and everything, or if they're going to be throwing like rice or bubbles or something of that sort. I usually turn on the face detection and let it go from there. It is super awesome to just throw that on real quick, have it do face detection, and then be able to turn it off when I want to, right here just on the bottom button. All the touchscreen swipes, I turned all that stuff off. Yet again, I love the touchscreen, but it's too much. I usually end up turning things on or off by accident. And then last but not least, the big one that I changed is the autofocus lock. I actually changed that to autofocus on, and that gives me my back button focusing. So now I can just hold this on the back instead of using the shutter and back button focus that way. Next up is our command dial setting. This is important because it's going to change our command dial here on the front to what we want it to be. I usually change that to ISO. That way I can quickly switch my ISO right here on the front of my camera by my finger, rather than having to deal with this whole knob and things. And yet again, when it's reception time, you can't see that stuff. It's too dark anyway, so setting it here is awesome. You have your ISO dial settings. So you see here, after I set that, go down to ISO setting A and set it to command. And then up here, switch your dial to A and leave it there. Now you can switch your ISO from the dial on the front here. After that, most of this stuff I don't touch at all. It's pretty straightforward, nothing really to change there. Power management is just for setting up when it turns off. I don't like it to turn off. I will turn my camera off during the wedding day when I'm not using it, just to save the batteries. Yet again, you know, mirrorless cameras will eat batteries alive, so I just do that manually, but I hate it turning itself off because at a wedding, things just happen. So if I have it on and I'm ready for it and I go down and it's turned off, it's the worst. So yeah, turn that off. Performance, mine is yellow right now because that's going to be controlled through my grip. But you can change one of your buttons to upgrade your performance. Most of the time you don't need that though, because the XT3, unlike the XT2, can shoot boost pretty quick without needing to be in boost mode. So yeah, I don't like having that on a button. Also, yet again too, if you have a grip, you have the little thing here, so you're good. And then your save data setup is the final thing that's going to be important. This is how you switch how everything's going to be saved. Obviously, we're going to be shooting backup because like I was talking about in one of my videos, you want 2 copies of that wedding day, not just one little copy where you could lose your photos. So real quick, let's just look at some of these buttons. I don't have a lens on this camera right now, but you'll see how I have everything set up. There's my screen settings there. That's how it looks. I can press down to get my face detection function and get my shutter type, so I can go to electronic whenever I want to. Dial on the front switches my ISO. Dial in the back switches my shutter speed. Button on the front switches my drive, so I can switch how fast my shutter is. And that's it, I'm good to go. The Q obviously gives me the Q options, but that's normal. And yeah, so that was a quick look at how I set up my XT3, and hopefully that helped you all out, especially if you're switching and you're new to the Fuji system. If you all have any questions about what I did in the video, why I set up something like that, or you want to see more, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you all. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel either. I plan on having more content like this in the future, especially if you all like it. So stay along, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll be with y'all next time. All right, peace.